Hey, so this is episode two of 6 months in Consuelo, hopefully a less grainy, less acid trippy episode. So last time I talked a lot about materials I'd gotten for the core program in order to add some variety in order to improve some of the work that was done on phonetics and developing understanding of phonetics. This time I want to talk about really why I'm going to Consuelo. I mean, that stuff I could have purchased and sent along as a donation without me personally having to be there. So my focus while I'm there is really computer literacy. So what I'm working on is developing a curriculum around Microsoft's Kodu software. So for people who don't know, Kodu it's basically a kind of game, and the idea is it's a game where the goal or the object of the game is to create a video game, and it's a very, very basic language that you use. The basic logic of it is when this happens, this happens. When a person clicks on this, make a character do this. Or when a person presses this key, the world goes dark, or the person wins the game. It's just very basic if-then statements that you use to build the game. And the idea is there are a couple of things. First of all, it ties into the core program because in any video game, you're telling a story. Even if that story is very basic, even if that story is this guy needs to beat up that guy in order to win. But there's always a story at the core of every game. And so I think, with the literacy program, this is an opportunity to build on understanding narrative and understanding something about storytelling, some of the basic elements of storytelling, and translating that into games. And then it leads into the larger issue of computer literacy. If I know how to read, it means that I can walk into a library and find out how to do just about anything else. I can find out about any particular subject. It's a gateway skill. And in the same way, computer literacy can be that. So for me, my introduction to computers was through Sierra games. I played all of the King's Quest games, all the Space Quest games. I was not allowed to play Leisure Suit Larry, but I played pretty much every Sierra game many, many moons ago. And that time that I spent on those games, I wasn't just playing a game. It wasn't just idle play. But it was also just developing a certain comfort level with just running fingers across a keyboard, with using a mouse once there was such a thing, because there wasn't actually when I first started. And I can remember watching with each game the graphics get better. I remember the first time I played King's Quest with a mouse and thinking that it felt like cheating because it was so much easier to play with a mouse than typing things in. I remember the kind of reading a story and not only be able to control what happens the way you would in, say, a choose your own adventure, but having to figure it out, having to understand riddles or logic in a certain way. So those are all things that are built into gameplay. But then just the use of the computer at that time created a comfort level so that as I grew up and my interests developed and my ambitions developed, I already had that comfort, had a basic understanding of what this machine is capable of. So what my goal is with this program is to develop that same kind of comfort level with computers in my students, because the comfort is what develops a set of instincts, an understanding of how this machine works. And the analogy I would use is, when you sit down to learn an instrument, you learn first the scales. When you gain a certain basic level of proficiency, someone hands you a set of notes, you know how to play them. if you get really good, at some point you can create a tune yourself, something that sounds like nothing anybody's ever heard before.